fellow lovers of the liminal and the weird, and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces. A few years back, a book came out that has completely changed horror reading and collecting in our modern time, and that book, of course, is Paperbacks from Hell. And this has expanded for me a lot of my reading, and horror was something that I absolutely loved as a teenager, but in the place where I lived here in New Mexico, I wasn't able to get a lot of the horror that was elsewhere, I guess. Maybe it was there and I just missed it. I don't know. But Paperbacks from Hell, of course, has given me Michael McDowell's Blackwater, which I absolutely loved. And now I've found one more that I really enjoyed. And that is, we can see it on this page, Elizabeth Engstrom. And here you can see her three major 80s releases. She has continued writing, but these are the three that are covered in the Paperbacks from Hell. And the one that we're going to be talking about today... Oh, no, this isn't three. This is only two, because this is the first edition copy, and this is the paperback copy. We're going to be talking about this one over here, and that is When Darkness Loves Us. Now, I very much wanted to have a first paperback edition of this to show you with the Jill Bauman art, but the only one I could see was one on eBay that was trashed, and they wanted $86 for it. So I gave up and went to my Barnes & Noble and got the recent re-release. There's a name for these re-releases. This says Quirk, and I don't think that's right. But anyway, this recent re-release of When Darkness Loves Us by Elizabeth Engstrom still has the Jill Bauman art on it, which is awesome. And the reason that I picked this up in the first place is because Virgil did a review on it that was absolutely incredible. And he got it from Curtis from Deep in the Reads, who's going to be our next live guest this coming Tuesday. So I absolutely wanted to give this a try. So I went, I found it, I read it. It was incredible. This is the story of Sally Ann, who is 16 years old. And this story opens on this pastoral landscape. Sally Ann is 16. She's just married Michael. She's very excited. She's watching Michael. Michael's working in the fields on a tractor with her father, his father-in-law, and she's kind of off in the trees. So there must be some kind of a forest that runs along the fields that they're working in, and she is sneaking around and hiding behind trees and secretly peeking at her husband because she wants him to eventually look over her and see her in this perfectly posed moment that she's going to create. And while she's sneaking around trying to figure out where she wants to be when he first sees her watching him out in the field, she's thinking about the times that they have made love after they've been married. She thinks about them going up to this hill to make love, where they're going to build their house, where they're going to spend the rest of their lives together. It is beautiful and hopeful and really an incredible start to the novel, because it puts forth a perfection that is unattainable. This is perfection, right? This is pastoral perfection. And while she's running around the forest, she sees this tunnel that was out in the forest that she used to love to run around in. And recently, her father has decided that they are going to close it off so that none of the kids run in there and get lost. So they have affixed these huge iron doors that they're going to close and padlock. And she decides she's going to go in there and check it out just one last time for old time's sake. And she goes in there and she's thinking about when she used to come into the tunnel and have little tea parties when she was growing up. And she finds a little baby spoon that she used when she was young for these tea parties. And it all is very wonderful and nostalgic. And she's thinking about herself as a child and herself growing up and having her own children and having this perfect life with Michael. And she turns around to come out of the tunnel and the doors slam and a lock is put on them, and she can hear the very end of her father's yelling something to Michael, which is just in case any of the kids fall in here. And she is locked in, and she bangs on the door hoping to get her husband or her father's attention, but the tractor's going and they cannot hear her. So she wanders further in, and this is where you have to let your suspension of disbelief work a little bit, because this is a tale that is presented to me in an almost mythical way. Of course, if you or I were in this situation, we'd hang by the doors, wait for the tractor to turn off, and bang the shit out of the doors so that they could hear you and let you out. And one could say, well, maybe they just drive the tractor in and they won't hear her, so on and so forth. There's a million ways that this writer could have of making sure that she can't be heard, but she chose to do what I think is a smart thing and say, forget that. The woman gives up and walks into the tunnels, because that's what needs to happen for this tale, this insane tale, to unravel. And while this may be a fleeting thought through your brain, it was through mine, it goes away really quick, just because the tale that she tells is so wild. She starts thinking about this boyfriend she had before Michael. She's in the tunnels, complete pitch blackness, that was killed in Vietnam. And suddenly he's there next to her, and he's helping her, and he gets her to start eating slugs to stay alive. And it turns out that her and Michael, her husband, have been making love, and she is pregnant. And we start jumping through time, and she eventually gives birth to a child down in these tunnels. I'm going to stop there. This is incredible. You absolutely need to read this. This goes to places that you can't even imagine. The way the trauma of these tunnels infects her brain and the things that she does because of that are insane. And you have to read it. I mean, I could give away all of this, but it would just destroy the enjoyment for you. I don't need to do a deep reading on this where I give away this plot, because this is just so good. You need to go get it. You need to read it. It's that good. So let's talk for just a minute about the publication of this. So this version and the original, of course, this version starts with Grady Hendrix talking about Elizabeth Engstrom, and she was, of course, Elizabeth Engstrom is not her, that's a pen name that she uses. Her real name is Betsy Lynn Gutzmer, and she spent her time between Chicago and Utah growing up between her parents. She lived quite a wild life for a while, got into some crazy stuff, eventually ending up in Hawaii, and decided, after cleaning up, decided to try to write. And she wrote a couple of novellas, When Darkness Loves Us being one of them. And this was inspired by a trip to Disneyland and riding the ride 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which I believe is a pitch black ride experience. And she had this panic attack during the ride because of the pitch blackness, and by the time she got off the ride, When Darkness Loves Us was completely formed in her head. So she joined a workshop that was going to be run by Theodore Sturgeon. And this is the second time that Theodore Sturgeon has come up. In my last review of Samuel R. Delany's Empire Star, Theodore Sturgeon came up in the text itself, kind of an homage to how important Theodore Sturgeon was to Samuel R. Delany. He was also very important to Elizabeth Engstrom because he read her two novellas in the workshop, and he said these have to be published, and they have to be published together. And they were. And I've only read the first one. From what I can tell, many people prefer the first one over the second one. But the second one has a lot of people that really like it as well. So I'll be interested in trying the second one as well. And then her third release was a full novel called Black Ambrosia. And Black Ambrosia is about a teenage vampire, but the kind of hitch pin of the story. And if this is a spoiler, it's been given away in every review of this novel, so I don't think it's much of a spoiler. Is whether or not this is a teenager serial killer that just decided that she was a vampire in her head and believes it, or if this is really a vampire. It's supposed to be incredible. I don't have a copy of it. Hopefully they reprinted that as well so that I can get a copy of it, because I'm going to check that out in the future as well. But anyway, this When Darkness Loves Us was first published in 1985. It's got a cover by Jill Bauman, who I'm a part of a group on Facebook that Jill Bauman is also part of, and I'm thinking about asking her if she'd like to come on the channel and talk about painting some of these incredible covers. She also did the cover for Way Station by Clifford Simak. I mean, this is a kind of a renowned cover. This guy's sitting on the porch, very pastoral picture with an alien leaning over him with some coffee. Really incredible. So that's Jill Bauman as well. Yeah, this is a writer you will see on this channel again. This novella was absolutely incredible, and you need to go out and get it and read it and come back to the comments and talk all about it, because it is fantastic. All right, that's everything from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.